Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Happy Tuesday to everybody out there, as it is game day, as the Razorbacks will be taking on LSU tonight at 8 p.m. I know we're going to talk about that and discuss it, which, by the way, we're going to be at Goat Lab Red, 1214 North Garland Avenue, for a little pregame show action at 7 p.m. We're also going to watch the game there. So if you need a great place to hang out and watch the game with the fellas, come on by and hang out with us. But we'll get into the basketball game. We'll have some baseball news as well as some college basketball national news. Get to your chats, all of that fun stuff. But fellas, it's Tuesday. The weather is still somewhat decently warm outside. So how are the vibes here on this Tuesday afternoon?
The weather is somewhat decently warm outside, man. It feels nice. It looks good out there. I was able to go outside for the first time in a couple of days this morning. So I'm feeling good, man. I'm excited to see this basketball team play again. We hope that they have turned a corner on some things, and you know, it's John Calipari's birthday. What better way to celebrate than an 8 p.m. tip in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, there ain't no way they're losing inside that dump of an arena on Cal's birthday. There just ain't no chance, and so I'm excited for that. And yeah, excited to have Curtis back, man. Honestly, the chat was on their best behavior yesterday. It was like one of those things where like the sub was here, but they knew that the sub was going to give the list of names to the main teacher. So they knew that if any trouble was going on, Curtis was going to find out about it and he was going to come back with a wrath. But it's nice to have Curtis because I feel like I have backup against the chat.
Yeah, well, hopefully the chat is on their best behavior today like they normally are. But you mentioned it being Cal's birthday. It's like, I don't know. Do you think he's the type of guy who's just not caring about birthdays? He's like, it's just another day. I feel like he's the type that probably just does not care if he gets asked about it tonight.
You remember they had the little video where the team came in and sang him happy birthday last year, and he did like the dad joke thing. He was like, oh yeah, I'm 56. And you could just hear Big Z in the background. 66, coach, you're 66.
Just, yes, I do remember that. I should have pulled that video. That was a great video. That was a great video. Yeah.
If they did it this year, you know what that means though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Cal. It's a 6-7 birthday. That's crazy.
There's still time. Give it time. They might still do it. They might still make it happen. So, but yeah, you can't lose on your birthday. And of course, you know, it's Arkansas and LSU tonight. Team you've already played. You beat in Bud Walton Arena. So it was a little bit of a close game, but I think a lot of people were honestly truly curious about, hey, what's the situation with DJ Wagner and Carter Knox? Well, the latest is, at least, guys, that they're doubtful, according to the injury report from last night. So Jalen Reed, Deedon Thomas, and Ron Zipper are out for LSU, but you got Knox and Wagner doubtful. So that's the latest on if they're going to play here tonight or not.
Who the hell is Ron Zipper?
I have no idea, but that's a great name.
It threw him in to throw us off the scent.
Yeah, that's wild, man. Yeah, and this is the beauty of us doing this pregame show at Goat Lab Red tonight, because I was thinking about it earlier this morning. I was like, dang, so I just did an hour-long preview episode, and we get into the weeds, you know, on the pod at the Palace. And I was like, I know we're going to talk about it a lot on Inside Arkansas Live today, as we should. But I'm like, I got to leave a little bit of meat on the bone for Goat Lab Red tonight. Well, we'll know for sure by the time we get down there what the actual status of Carter Knox and DJ Wagner are. So that's going to give us something really pertinent to talk about when we get there. My anticipation is that they're not going to have either one of them. The more I thought about it, it was like if they were out on Saturday, then they flew home. They didn't practice on Sunday. They flew to Baton Rouge yesterday and just having shoot-arounds and stuff. Those guys haven't even been able to get back into a practice, even if they are feeling better and everything. So I'd be surprised. It would be nice if one of them at least was, you know, available for emergency minutes or something. You don't want the minutes to pile up on these guys, but I would imagine they probably have a pretty keen eye on getting as healthy as possible before the Auburn game, as opposed to this one that comes at risk because LSU wasn't an easy game the first time, but they're also down their best player.
Yeah, I think doubtful's the correct term here. You know, because it's, you know, you never know. They might wake up and be like, oh man, I feel great. Let's get this thing rolling. But I think the expectation should definitely not be that they are playing for Arkansas. And honestly, I'm looking at that Deedon Thomas name right there. I think that's a fair trade. Like, obviously, I would prefer if Carter Knox or DJ Wagner would play in this game, but like, you take two guys out of your rotation, LSU loses one of, if not their literal best player, who was very good for them in the game at Bud Walton Arena. Did a really good job, and we know Arkansas's perimeter defense a little bit susceptible, and so not having Deedon Thomas there, we saw what LSU looked like without him. Wasn't great. I think it's definitely helpful for Arkansas that he's out, and what better birthday present for Cal than he doesn't have to scout for Ron Zipper. I mean, that's big, dude. When you don't have to scout, I mean, because Ron Zipper's, you got to dedicate a lot of time for Ron Zipper. When Ron Zipper's not playing, completely changes the equation here.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I just knew Ron Zipper and going into this, but I'd have to quick look up on him, though. He is a freshman from Ashkelon, Israel. So,
okay.
5,
Oh,
10.
wow.
So, yeah, avoiding him.
John going political on us. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, listen, it was just something because I'm like, Ron Zipper is a name that I feel like should be in an all-name team. But then again, since he's a freshman and he's an overseas kid, I probably wasn't going to hear much from him.
All respect to him as a basketball player. I did not give him the porno name. His parents did. Like it wasn't me,
Yeah.
It is a little. Did y'all see that clip of I can't remember who it was. I think it was Jamar Chase was on McAfee's show, and he said Caleb Daniels, meaning to say Caleb Williams. And everyone on the set was just kind of like, yeah, we know who Caleb Daniels is. Totally. Yeah. We know who that is. And eventually he was like, wait, isn't that the quarterback in Chicago? And like, no, bro, that's not him.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Which, saw somebody actually just brought it up. Hickory Hog said Ron Zipper is what Will Baker's name should have been. So, yeah, let's just not have a Will Baker situation tonight.
Gosh.
Like last time Arkansas played LSU, that guy just a random dude, just like, I'm going to go and hit 8 threes tonight, even though I've averaged like 1, if that, throughout the entire season.
Well, anytime you see, one of the exciting whites getting hot from 3, that's dangerous stuff. Mm-hmm. They've got one. He's Australian too. Max McKinnon. He's their best player now with Dean Thomas out, and he was giving League some buckets in the last game, so they're going to have to contend for him. But yeah, I'll never forget the Will Baker game. In fact, we were at the old headquarters doing a watch party. That might have been a smelling salts game, boys.
Should have been.
Now that I think about it, because that was a rough watch. I think Arkansas lost by like 21 down there. That was not a good LSU team. It's not a good Arkansas team. Tough times, man. Been 3 times in a row Arkansas has gone down to Baton Rouge, and it's just been not a whole heck of a lot of fun.
Curtis, I need you to hold me accountable because I need, you know how I get. The closer and closer we get to the game, I get more and more confident. Even if there's no information that is added to the equation, I just get more confident. And I know it's a little bit weird because we're assuming Carter Knox and DJ Wagner won't play, but I think we all look back at that LSU game. We say, you beat LSU by 4 at home. How are you going to beat them comfortably on the road? I just feel like Arkansas is in a much better place, and I think LSU's in a worse place. And I also think back to that game where you mentioned McKinnon hitting weird fadeaway mid-range shots against Malik Thomas, Dean Thomas getting into the teeth of defense, making things happen. I think a lot of the things that allowed LSU to be competitive in that game, not saying they won't be a factor in this game, but I feel like this is going to be the night where we realize, okay, yeah, this is a little bit different story than Arkansas 6 weeks ago.
I sure hope that's the case. Yeah, it's a little bit of a style, like a matchup thing that's weird, especially now because, Thomas is a little guy. He's really good. Arkansas couldn't keep him in front, but even like their coach and their players have talked about it, that they're just a completely different team without him and how they have to play. And so now they start this kid who's not a point guard. He's 6'6" in there. And so then they have like 4, it's like the old school Eric Musselman lineups. They got 4 guys who are like 6'6" or 6'7", and then they've got the big center at 6'10", and it's just like a size deal. And I just remember in that game in Fayetteville, it felt like they were really punishing Arkansas on the glass. Like they were super physical. They were really heavy on the offensive glass. But if you go look at their numbers for the season, it's not really a thing that they've done, especially in SEC play consistently. It felt like a combination of they were extra hungry and motivated. And if you guys remember, Arkansas, they looked like they didn't want to play. They wanted to stay home from the snow in that game. So if they just come out with the right mentality, I really do feel like they should be able to flip the script there. LSU has had some close games, close calls at home. Remember the Kentucky buzzer beater they hit on them. I think they beat Missouri in there maybe. But then they've gotten their doors blown off in there a few times, and you can get on them early. South Carolina did it when they went over there. Like they were up like 50-25 or something early in that game. Georgia pulled away from them, blew them out the other day. Mississippi State, who we just saw, went in there and beat them by 15. So I think if Arkansas gets out to a good start, which they've now done once on the road in SEC play, I understand that's going to go a long way towards this being comfortable, maybe like Saturday was.
Yeah, because I still think that there are going to be people, say if Carter Knox and DJ Wagner don't play tonight and Arkansas looks as good and as impressive against LSU that they did against Mississippi State, there's going to be some people be like, let's just not play DJ Wagner and Carter Knox ever again. I mean, the team's so much better. Hopefully they're out. Like, that's going to be that game, but I also like living in the reality. It's not going to be so simple. It's not going to be just like, oh no, well, you've beaten two really bad teams in their home courts by a lot, therefore team better because two players don't play. Like, it's not as simple as that. But I think that there's going to be that could happen. And I think we talked a little bit about it yesterday, and I know a little bit today, but it's like, I think Arkansas still should beat LSU even without Carter Knox and DJ Wagner fairly easily. It's not saying it'll be an easy game, but they're the better team and they should still win. And who knows, maybe they finally end the Matt McMahon tenure at LSU, because I feel like they're already out of NCAA tournament contention, but I feel like this would probably be the nail in the coffin that's like, okay, unless you just go on some miracle run in the SEC tournament, it's over for you.
It really would be, man. They're a weird team because what are they, 2-8 or something in SEC play? And so they've kind of fallen off of a cliff, but they just beat the crap out of all those bad teams in non-conference. So all the Ken Palms and everything loved them. And I remember when the first net rankings dropped or whatever, they hadn't played anybody, but they were like 14th in the country. I'm like, goodness gracious, what happened here? So we have seen LSU in the past be a computer tricker from that standpoint. This hasn't been like that, but given their record and what they've been going through, if you look at their metrics, they're way higher than you would expect them to be, but they're like razor thin, like the bubble's getting ready to pop. Arkansas could do it in this game. They had back-to-back quad one opportunities at home. Georgia wound up blowing them out on Saturday. If Arkansas gets them here, they're done for. And yeah, we know that's a lot of weird pressure on Matt McMahon when the AD comes out and is like, yeah, if you don't make the tournament, we're going to have to reevaluate some things. That's a nice thing to hear when you got 15 games left in the season and they've really done nothing but lose a bunch of games and beat South Carolina since.
Dude, did I see Missouri in the last four in for Joe Lunardi, or maybe they were first four out, but they're like even Missouri's like still on the bowl. It's crazy to me because like we look at Arkansas and we kind of, when they lose a game, it feels like the end of the world. But you look at these other SEC teams that like actually suck, and some of them still have a chance to make the NCAA tournament. Like LSU doesn't really, but it is crazy how the numbers do just tell a very different story. But luckily, the Pythagorean theorem is not going to be able to help LSU today. The game is not played on a spreadsheet, and I think Arkansas can definitely, like you said, put a nail in their coffin. And also, this isn't going to be a win that moves Arkansas's resume in any crazy way, but you're on the road, a true road game against a team that the computers do kind of respect in a weird way. Even if you do win by, let's say, 9, I think that would actually give Arkansas a nice little minuscule bump.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to talk a little bit about that bracketology in the latest in here in just a second, but I want to remind everybody that tonight we'll do a little pregame show action as well as watch the game at Goat Lab Red in Fayetteville, 1214 North Garland Avenue. If you haven't been there, it's an awesome spot, awesome location. We're going to do the postgame starting at 7 p.m., and then, of course, tip is at 8 p.m. We're going to watch the game and hang out there and take it all in because they do progressive wing night during all Razorback basketball games. And yes, it's happening tonight where wings start at a discount price, where if you have to arrive before tip-off, purchase your first set of wings, which is 6 of them, at the initial discount price of $1 a wing. And then after each TV timeout, which is the under 16, the under 12, the under 8, you must purchase at least 2 wings. And when wings hit free, you get to eat all you want. So the more the Razorbacks score, the cheaper they go. But you don't get any to-go boxes. You got to finish your wings before eating more. No sharing or anything like that. You got to eat on your own. And it's an awesome thing. It's an awesome setup. And yes, if Arkansas scores 120 points tonight, you're going to be eating some free wings pretty early. So be sure to come hang out with us tonight. Again, pregame show starts with Pod at the Palace at 7 p.m. And then we'll watch the game with all of you at 8 p.m. It's Goat Lab Red in Fayetteville. An awesome new spot for all of your Razorback pregame, during the game, and post-game action. So speaking of that, the latest bracketology for the Razorbacks, I don't know, some people will feel certain ways about it, but we'll go ahead and pull this up where Arkansas is playing in Philadelphia, according to Joe Nardi, as the 6th seed. They would face off against Miami or New Mexico, the play-in game, where the winner of that one would more than likely play a Michigan State team that Arkansas has already played with, North Dakota State. And then if they continued on, could have a Kentucky match in the NCAA tournament there in the Sweet 16 if it happened, because they'll take on UCLA. And then Iowa State is a 2 seed in Austin P. How would you all feel about this particular matchup?
Love it. Love it. Yeah, give me that, man. I like the idea of playing the team coming off of a play-in game, because so they would play on a Tuesday night or whatever, and then have to immediately fly and then turn around and play again on a Thursday. So, quick turnaround and all those things. You need some time to recover and prepare for Darius Acuff. So I kind of like the way that shapes up. Arkansas would not play Michigan State in the round of 32. They won't do that matchup for bracketing principles, but I honestly wouldn't hate it if they did. That's like, there are some teams that Arkansas played early in the season before they figured some stuff out and lost, that I'm like, I'm not sure that I really want to see them again. Michigan State's not one of them. I would not mind seeing Michigan State again. And then, yeah, I mean, if we got John's wish and played Kentucky in a second weekend, that would be electric. It would be nerve-wracking, but it would be electric.
Yeah. I wouldn't hate going to Philly also. Let me just get that
Oh,
out.
yeah.
That'd be a fun trip.
Philly would be a sick little destination there. If we had to hop on a plane or whatever and we weren't able to drive to one of those spots, Philly would be pretty sweet. And yeah, nothing like a little 6-7 matchup in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I will say, I haven't watched Iowa State play a ton this year. Perhaps it's just like I've caught them on the wrong night type of things. The one full game of theirs I watched was when Kansas beat them by like 400. So I have seen Iowa State look susceptible. I'm sure they've looked great in all their other games, and I can't remember what other game I was watching where they looked just kind of shaky. I'm sure they've been great most of the year, but you talk about these 1 and 2 seed, even 3 seed teams. None of them are bad. None of them are going to be easy. I think if you're trying to pick one, I think Iowa State would be one that if you're facing them in the Sweet 16 Elite 8, I think that's about as good as you can ask for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and going back to the Philadelphia thing, if we were going to have to fly somewhere, Philadelphia is going to be the one I'd like to go to. Like, forget any of the other locations. Like, but if obviously being able to drive to Oklahoma City or St. Louis would be ideal for that. But if we're going to fly, might as well go to a cool destination city and take all that in. But I assume this would be Houston? I know it would be DC. Okay.
I could be wrong about that.
What region was it? Did it say?
Let's see. Oh, yeah, I'm stupid. Sorry. It would be Chicago.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't see that.
Well, hey, Arkansas has already played there.
Yeah,
Advantage
I'd go
home.
back to Chicago.
Yeah, I'd go back. Yeah, listen, Chicago ain't bad. Direct flights, everywhere in the world to try to get there in O'Hare. So,
yeah.
But yeah, go to Chi City and check that out. I'm just glad that of all of the bracketology, at least that I can remember seeing and everywhere, I have not seen Arkansas connected with San Jose in any capacity, which is like, not that it wouldn't be cool to go out there. However, it's just, again, if we're talking about going to the second weekend, Houston, cool, Chicago, cool, Washington, D.C. even. All right. But San Jose, not really doing that. The worst type of scenario would be Arkansas, because I see how it's all set up here in this West. There is a time where their teams play in Tampa in the first weekend and then fly to San Jose. That sounds awful, just absolutely horrendous. So let's hope that doesn't happen for Arkansas. So
I know it's a huge, obvious thing of jet lag and time zone changes. I really struggled with the Providence to San Fran being wait a minute, it's 3 p.m. right now. What's going? I was off kilter the entire time we were in San Fran because I'd never really traveled that much.
Yeah, no, it's not ideal. There's probably a reason why many people don't do that often of just traveling from across time zones right and left, and especially doing shows and whatnot. But yeah, it'll truly throw you off, man. So. But it's just good to see that Arkansas is at least the 6th seed. We talked about this. It's dude, even if you won out and won the tournament and everything, the best case scenario you could maybe pull off would be a 2 seed, but that's just unlikely. So, you still got to keep building it and get some resume builders. Not saying LSU tonight is one, but hey, what do they say? It's a can't lose type of game.
Yeah, it's a quad 1 game, boys. It is a quad 1 game for Arkansas. Sneaky one, but it is.
So you can afford a quad 1 loss.
You could, yeah. I'd advise against it.
Yeah,
definitely. If they're asking for my recommendation, would definitely not.
That's one of those that it's not all wins are created equal or whatever. Because Arkansas's win over Texas Tech, or whoever is a quad 1, but then going and beating LSU on the road is a quad 1. But there's levels to this, right? But a lot of those nerds who do the math and put together these bracketologies, they don't even really look at that too in depth. They'll just go, oh, 6 quad 1 wins for Arkansas. They're one of a dozen teams in the country that has that. Let's bump them up a seed line. So we don't have to tell them that one of them will be LSU and one of them will be Oklahoma. But hey.
Yeah, I know. Like you got to take them when you can get them, especially with the net ranking, how it makes no sense to anybody. At least doesn't make sense to me. So, but yeah, I also heard somebody, I can't remember who it was, talking about how Arkansas just doesn't win at LSU very often. I was like, I know that the past 3 years they haven't, or the past 3 times they haven't, but I feel like they had some fairly good success down there against LSU. I know Muss beat him a couple of times down there at LSU. I know Mac Anderson did. So I don't know, maybe. Yeah, that's right. Keith Smart beat him. Yeah, Keith Smart beating him. You had who was I guess it was like Mike Anderson and Keyshawn Embry. Was that his name? That like
Keyshawn Embry Simpson, bro.
Yeah, Keyshawn Embry Simpson hitting a bunch of threes. So I know that was the case. But yeah, so Arkansas had some success down there at LSU, but just the last 3 times you've played down there just has not been ideal. But we'll get to more of the show here in a second, folks. Appreciate everybody tuning in. But I want to remind everybody that the official insurance company of us here at Inside Arkansas is OZK Insurance, because they're an independent insurance agency. That means they're not just tied to one company. They shop a multitude of A-rated carriers to find the best coverage and price for you. And now they've paired that with something you just don't usually see from an independent agency, a full-service mobile app. With the OZK Insurance, you can see all of your policies under one roof: home, auto, whatever you have, plus pay the bills, request roadside assistance, file claims, request policy changes, or even get new quotes, all from the comfort of your own phone. So you get the best part of independent agent, which is choice, flexibility, and real people, but as well as the convenience of modern technology, which makes it even better. So if you're tired of getting stuck and being stuck with one carrier or chasing down paperwork or anything like that, just go to ozkinsurance.com or search OZK Insurance in the App Store or the Google Play Store. It's a local agency, national level options, as well as one powerful app. That is OZK Insurance. So let's see. Also, I know it seems like the chat's going crazy with this JSJ deal. And what's been happening with him. So I guess there's some updates there. And Curtis, I know we were kind of talking about it, but what's the situation with him?
Yeah, I mean, he's likely to be a Razorback here. If you were on our Discord, you got the jump on this before it started going crazy today. But yeah, I mean, Arkansas has been quietly making up a lot of ground here recently. I feel like they've been in the lead for quite some time. And the whole thing with Jordan Smith Jr. has been, well, when is he going to make his commitment, though? Right? Because it's, he might wait until March or April. He's going to wait until springtime because he wants to see how all these rosters fill out in the portal and everything like that. Now, sounds like he's shutting this thing down a little bit earlier. I think Arkansas is going to get some really good news here by the end of the week. So be on the lookout for it. Jordan Smith Jr., 5-star guard, the number 2 prospect in the 2026 class. He's been the number 1 priority. Like, they pursued other guards here. You got to cover all your bases. But if there's a totem pole, Jordan Smith Jr. is at the very, very top of it. And it sounds like Cal's about to get his man.
I'm glad you mentioned the Discord, Curtis, because this is one of those times. And, we talk about the Discord sometimes and its pros and its cons. This is one of those times where I thought everyone knew this because I would check the Discord and see Jordan Smith for a long time now. I've kind of felt like Arkansas was, like you said, in the lead. And so I didn't think it was like a groundbreaking development that Jordan Smith Jr. may or may not commit to Arkansas. Like, I kind of thought that we were all on that same page, but it's because I've been reading what your scoops in the Discord, reading what kind of everybody's been saying there. And so today when that I think for some people it came completely out of left field. I felt like this has been trending in this direction for a long time because of the reporting you've been doing on this.
It certainly has been. And, a couple developments here recently. One, I think the biggest news is that it's going to happen earlier than anticipated. But here's my thought on it. If he was, hell-bent on waiting until spring, it's because he wants to see what is it going to look like with other teams' rosters? Who are they bringing back? Are they going to go out and, get 3 guards from the portal if I commit there and everything like that? If you want to go play for John Calipari in Arkansas, you don't have to worry about those things because you already know how he operates. He's going to get his freshmen. He's going to rock with them. He's not going to recruit over you or recruit your minutes off of the rotation or whatever. If Arkansas is a place that you want to be and John Calipari is the guy you want to play for, you sign up now. You don't have to wait on that because you know that he's good for it. And so I think that's what we're looking at here. Him shutting it down early is a huge development. Because if you think about we did an episode of the Pod the Palace last week about like roster construction for next year and how complicated it could be with everything, because in that 2-week portal window, you're going to have all the transfers in and out. You're going to have to get all the retention stuff figured out before then, because if they're coming back, or if they're going to leave, I guess I should say, they got to do it within 2 weeks if they're going to hit the portal. Then you've got all these high school kids, and it's all going on at the exact same time. So the quicker you can have some decisions made for some of these guys, the better off you are, because every decision that you make, every kid you get or you don't get, it's like a domino effect with everything else. So if they lock this thing down here quick, that's a huge domino falling in the right direction for Arkansas. You've got your Darius Acuff replacement in-house, and you don't have to worry about it. And you can focus on going and getting your big guys out of the portal or bringing your dudes back that you want to bring back. It's a massive development for Arkansas.
Real quick, I'm just looking at 24/7 Sports, like team basketball recruiting rankings, which, listen, basketball team rankings are a little bit tough because some schools literally will bring in 1 freshman, some will bring in 4, some will bring in 7. You never really know. But I'm looking at Arkansas's average commit right now, I believe, is 2nd nationally. And obviously adding in Jordan Smith Jr. certainly wouldn't move that down. In fact, they might even move into number 1 in terms of average player commit. Arkansas right now, 24th with just 2 commits. I think people would be surprised. I think Arkansas might end up having a top 5 freshman class or something like that. Only bringing in 3 guys, if that ends up being what it is, you would still likely have top 1 or 2 average player commit. And you look at a lot of these, like a lot of the ones that are in the top 15 have 4 commits and they're averaging like 93.4 or whatever. Arkansas is averaging like 99.2 on their player commitments.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say all 3 of those guys, are going to be 5 stars by, at least 1 service. And if you kind of look at them, so you think about Jordan Smith Jr., JJ Andrews, Abdu Torre, the first thing you think is grown men, right? Like if you're going to get freshmen, you want to get the ones who look like seniors. You know what I mean? These guys are like strong, physical, college ready type dudes, and defense and rebounding at their position. It's like every weakness kind of that Arkansas has this year, these 3 guys address it. It's like going overboard with the overcorrection here. I love it. And so then you question with all 3 of them, it's like, okay, well, what about the jump shot? Like how's that coming along? And we know JJ Andrews has been like 35+% low volume. So there's something to work with there. But Abdu Torre is starting to shoot it really well as a senior. Jordan Smith Jr., he made like 8 threes all summer, but he's making like 8 threes a game in his senior season of high school. Every time I look on Twitter, it's like, oh, Jordan Smith Jr. starts 5 of 5 from 3. Oh, he hits 7 threes in this game. So that part of it is coming around too. You can play all 3 of them together at the 1, 2, and 3. So it's exciting times, man. If you are a fan of John Calipari and his, hesitancy with the portal and, oh, he's not bringing G League guys in here, but if you want elite level, high end freshmen, we know that he's good for it. And it's going to be the same case with this class next season.
Yeah, I was also just looking at the industry rankings and stuff. Of course, 24/7 Sports has him as this number 2 player in the country, so therefore that's the only one that I care about.
Yes,
because ESPN has him as the 3rd and Rivals has him as the 4th. But the overall composite rankings or whatever, he is the 3rd national player, number 1 shooting guard there as well. And this is just a thing where I know it's just something that's a long way off before you even see this guy get to play or anything like that. But man, this is my favorite part of the John Calipari stuff. Obviously the winning, the champion, like all that. But just to be like a guy that probably, let's be honest, wouldn't have any interest in Arkansas before, or probably, because you're talking about Duke, you're talking about like those programs coming after him. And to know that I have confidence to where if I see Arkansas and John Calipari on a player of this caliber, I'm like, yeah, I like my chances, like I feel so good about it. And that's just what's such a cool thing is because it brings in the attention. It continues on what the thing about Cal. Oh, is he over the hill? Well, he's still recruiting some incredible freshman players and high school athletes and we see what like Darius Acuff's doing this year and Malik Thomas. That's just like, again, my favorite thing about the Cal impact and factor is, there's a lot of other important things, but the highest level of players coming out of high school, Arkansas is going to have just as good, if not a better chance of getting than any other school.
This is a big development too. You mentioned like, is he washed? Is he over the hill? Some people ask those questions, which is crazy when he actively has Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas on his roster. But after he missed on Baba, if you guys remember that, and that was a miss, like late in the game, Maryland and Buzz Williams, he kind of lockered him, And that was frustrating. It was like the first time you've seen like a chink in the armor of the of the Calipari recruiting. I know he hasn't gotten every single guy he's ever pursued, but they were after him hard and they didn't get him. And so some of these other guys, if you see all the natural connections with Duke, like Jordan Smith Jr.'s high school it's a pipeline to Duke. It's like every player that comes out of there goes there, and they had been the perceived leader for the longest. And you're like, well, what is this going to wind up looking like? But when Cal sets his mind to something, don't ever count that man out. If it involves a high school basketball prospect, never count him out in terms of getting it done.
I mean, and we, the day that John Calipari was hired at Arkansas, we kind of felt like this would happen, and we all said it like, oh yeah, so now Arkansas is going to be getting all the 5-stars and Arkansas is going to be having all these first-round picks and stuff. And we were confident in that moment, but it's like, you don't really know. And it's just crazy because I just remember growing up, I used to go on all these sites and I'd look, and you'd look at the top 10 players in the country and you'd see, oh, this one's going to Kansas, this one's going to Duke, this one's going to Kentucky, this one's going to North Carolina, this one's going to Duke. And, some years there'd be 3 or 4 would go to one of those schools or whatever. And now you're just seeing Arkansas in these lists, and you're seeing Arkansas putting out those first-round picks. And not for nothing, and I really am not trying to say this to like start a, thing. You just don't see Kentucky on these lists anymore. And, again, like that's not, I'm sure Kentucky, obviously, they're still a great brand. They're going to eventually get some recruits or whatever. But it's like, I remember in the moment when Cal was coming over, there were a lot of people that pushed back against that notion of like, he's not just going to randomly take all these guys to Arkansas. Well, yeah, he is.
Yeah. Well, to your point, I was going to bring this up. Can I interest you folks and fellas over to a prediction that's now flipped from a big-time 5-star player in Christian Collins no longer having Kentucky as the favorite like it was?
Oh, is Musk going to get him?
Oh,
yes. According to Joe Tipton, give him a shout out to old Joe Tipton. He says that, of course, Mark Pope, Kentucky, has been in the driver's seat. It was Kentucky, USC, and UCLA has been in the mix, but Kentucky's been in the driver's seat for a while now. But as time went on, the commitments never actually happened, and he decided to reopen his recruiting. Vanderbilt and Illinois extended offers. However, USC is one school that stayed consistent with Collins, and it says now Eric Musselman and the Trojans are in the driver's seat and gaining all the momentum.
He saw that game winner the other day, and he was like, bet.
Yep.
That's where I need to be. They didn't lose to 10-13 Penn State, and he's like, let's go.
Yeah.
So Collins to USC. They thought they were getting Tyron Stokes. He's going to go play for Bill Self. Who else?
Will he play? Will he play for Bill Self, or will he just attend Kansas?
Well, we know that he's got the options are open apparently to play or don't play, but they'll take you, right? That was crazy last night. Yeah. Shameful, and it was the only circumstance I could ever root for Kansas is in spite of their own very gifted teammate that doesn't like basketball. They won anyway. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, shout out to them beating Arizona, handing them their first L. That was what's messed up is I had a buddy text me in the day, and he was like, "Hey, let's bet on Arizona tonight," and I was like, I don't want to bet on Arizona because I'm like scared of Darren Peterson. If he plays, like I think he could beat them by himself. And then they end up 10 minutes before tip. They're like, oh yeah, actually he's not playing. And he was texting me like mad, where he's like, dude, you talked me out of it. I didn't bet him, whatever. And then they end up losing anyway. And I felt it saved me a little bit.
Well, I was going to bring this up later, but since we're talking about it, first off, I watch it. I get goosebumps when I see atmosphere. Fog Allen Fieldhouse has got to, dude, that place was just insane last night. So cool. Seeing the videos. And again, I love Bud Walton, and don't get me wrong, but I'm not stupid and biased enough to say Bud Walton's better than like a Fog Allen Fieldhouse, because that is a next level type. And I know it's like you're playing Arizona. You're playing arguably the best team in the country, undefeated. It's always going to be that level, but still just gave me the goosebumps of watching that, number one. And number two, did you guys see the controversy with the ESPN employee texting? Did you guys see this?
I did.
I didn't see this. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to pull up this video. So apparently, the situation with, is he playing or not playing or whatever? This guy who's on ESPN, he's an ESPN staffer. He was at in their warm-ups or practice or whatever it was, and he overheard what was going on, and he was texting somebody about it. Now, here's the video of him actually texting what was going on to somebody. Somebody zoomed in on his text, and he's just flying with his fingers, trying to make sure that he sees everything that's going on there. And if you want to know exactly what was said, because I know it's kind of like hard to tell from that video, if I can find it. I feel like, So He said in the text, so he's sick and he didn't tell anyone in a practice. And Bill Self said, don't half-ass it if you're going to play. If not, sit. DP said, F it, I'm out. That's what that text message said, and that's what he was reporting. And then on top of that, Daniel Burke, who is the AD for strategic communication with KU, quote tweeted that and said, the person texting in this video is a contracted crew worker who handles official stats during the game for ESPN. He does not work for KAU and is not affiliated with the athletic department anyway. He has no inside information, and he was speculating we are handling eternally. So
was he speculating, or did he hear things and then say it to some people in a private text message that we all found out about? But it's like, is it speculation, or, because like him not working for Kansas does not make what he said untrue.
Right. Well, and that dude feeling the need to even respond to it all or address it at all tells me that that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
well, dude, it's messed up because, because obviously the Darren Peterson situation, it's been a saga all year of just games he'll sit out, minutes restrictions, load management, whatever. There was a point where we talked about it, and I started thinking, I'm like, are we being a little bit unfair to this kid? Because he is, he had a real injury at one point, and I started really kind of feeling bad because I was like, we've kind of made fun of him, but like, is it really a situation where he's like choosing to sit out? Is it really a situation like, is this his fault? And I had these thoughts. Now I'm back where I'm like, I can't believe like I ever felt that way, because like clearly there is something weird going on. There's just too much smoke for there to not be a fire of this kid not wanting to play basketball. And I hate to say that because it does sound unfair, but it's like, dang, dude, he literally might be the number 1 overall pick. He's that good, but he just doesn't really care that much about playing basketball.
I'll have to go back and find it, but I saw this compilation. Like, there's some games they've known in advance he wasn't going to play, but any game where he was like this, where he's ruled out at, during warmups or something, or, oh, he's not going to play in the second half or whatever. There's this video compilation of his agent either coming, down the tunnel from the locker room or over by the bench or whatever, then leaves. And then all of a sudden, Darren Peterson's not allowed to play. He's got to shut it down for the rest of the game. So that gives you a pretty good indication of exactly what's going on. I know a lot of people have brought up like, well, he's out for the rest of the game because of cramping, but like, he's not stretching, he's not hydrating, none of those things over on the side. He's just kind of chilling there with a hot pack on his leg or something. It's a weird deal. And then, he was out there warming. He was leading the team in warmups. He was out there doing high knees and butt kicks and everything. And then it's just like, I don't know. I'm not feeling it.
Because what they say, flu-like symptoms or something like that.
Symptoms, yeah.
It's like, okay, so he has flu-like symptoms, yet he's out there like warming up and doing kicks and all that stuff. I'm like, no.
Number one team in the undefeated number 1 in your house, and 45 minutes before tip off, come on, bro.
Yeah. I ain't playing that kid. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it just sucks because it's like, how good he is, like you talked about, but that's just, you can't have that, man. That's not a winner. Sorry. It's just not, it's not a winner. You want to have someone that's competitive and wants to get to that level. So, but either way, we got some more basketball news that we're going to talk about here in just a second. I want to remind everybody that our guy Sharkensaw has an awesome company that you need to be a part of. And that if you're somebody who is looking for help in customizing your website and making web applications, whether it's internal tools, dashboards, admin systems, system modernization and refactoring, ongoing support, improvements over time with your integrations and automation, our guy Sharkensaw is going to help you out with his Mad Labs Code Studio. It's a small independent code studio where they focus on thoughtful, long-term software work rather than quick, disposable builds. And they also work closely with all of you and your teams to make sure that if they already have software in place, that they can take care of it that way. And also they'll build you something new to make sure that it's user-friendly and the easiest thing to help you along the way. They do fully custom builds, not templates, not page builders. They make it designed specifically for you, for your needs, to make it as easy as possible. So if you're one of these businesses that needs help with these things, it's not something you can just go on YouTube and learn how to do. There's a lot of complexities. Have the specialist, have a pro, have our guy Sharkensaw help you out, where you can get a free 30-minute strategic call. That's right, a free 30-minute strategy call with him where he can walk you through it, tell you what he can do and how it can make it better for you. All you got to do is scan that QR code right there on the screen, or you can click the link in the description below and it'll set you up there as well. So no matter what it is, whatever you need done, get it done with our friend Sharkensaw over there at Mad Labs Code Studio, doing it all when it comes to coding for your business. Okay, so I guess we can go ahead and talk about this since we're on the college basketball landscape. The Charles Bediako situation is finally over. We can all rejoice. He has officially been ruled out and cannot participate in Alabama basketball activities no more. Wow. What a day. What a concept that's something that was actually going to happen. It's just good grief. Anyways, a Tuscaloosa judge, is according to Nick Kelly, who's over at AL.com, Tuscaloosa judge has denied Charles Bediako's motion for a preliminary injunction to allow him to continue to play for Alabama. And then, Charlie Baker puts out a statement from the NCAA saying, hey, this is a win for common sense and all that stuff. But either way, it's over with. It's done with. Charles Bediako can no longer play at Alabama.
Ryan is going to join us in a moment here to give his thoughts on this situation. But before he does, we want to talk about it. No, this is just common sense prevailing, right? No matter how much Nate Oates and that Alabama fan base has tried to do everything they can with their whataboutisms to justify this without acknowledging the single differentiating factor that was the non-negotiable here, which was play college ball. If I forego my eligibility, it's gone. Now I'm going to go pro. You can't do that. We've all known that, but they've tried to, justify every single way they possibly could. Besides that, the one smoking gun against them this entire time. Well, that's what got them. And then afterwards, what do you hear? Nate Oates, I don't understand. Europeans are able to play college basketball. Oh, what about James Najee? I don't get it. No, dude, you're right. You don't understand. That's clearly the issue here. They did the right thing. I've got some big questions about what this means for Alabama and the games that they've played, and we can talk about that in a minute. But as far as this is concerned, in a way, I feel a little bit bad for the kid. But just like he had to have known what he was doing when he gave up his eligibility to go to the draft, when he was not a lock to be drafted, he was not a surefire NBA prospect. He had to have known the risk that he was taking when he dropped out of the G League and did this, right? That this was a possibility that could happen to him. Now it's a tough PR thing for him. Where does he go from here with his career and stuff? I don't know. And so I genuinely do feel for him personally for that standpoint of it, but I don't feel bad for Nate Oates. I don't feel bad for Alabama fans. And I feel good for college basketball because this was something that had to happen just to get a little bit of common sense back into the way we approach things here.
I think Charles Bediako, like many young athletes in all these sports, got horrible advice. And just like I think Darren Peterson has people that do not have his best interest at heart in his ear telling him to do things that are stupid. I think Charles Bediako had someone tell him, hey, no, this is going to be a really cool thing that's going to work out really well for you, and it's going to help your career. I don't know if it was an uncle. I don't know if it was an agent. I don't know if it was Nate Oates, maybe just someone from Alabama. He got horrible advice, and now he has to live with that, and that sucks for him. But, yeah, I think the big thing, the statement that the NCAA put out, it said the court saw this for what it is, which is an attempt to, basically blur the lines between professionals and allow professionals to come back and play college for no reason. I don't really know how anybody with a brain could view this as anything other than that. And the big misconception through this whole thing is you mentioned some of those other, like we always point to all these other things and say, well, that guy's playing, so why can't Corliss Williamson play? And, oh, this guy who played in the G League played, so why don't we bring back Bobby Portis? And I just don't understand how people really got there. And everyone always said, oh, the NCAA, they can't do anything about this. The hell they can't. They have rules in place. And it sucks that we're in a position where we have to defend the NCAA because the NCAA is stupid. Make no mistake about that. They are. And Greg Sankey, it's weird that we're defending Greg Sankey. These guys were in the right here because there are literal rules in place that prevent stuff like this that Alabama and Charles Bediako tried to circumvent. That's the big thing because James Najee was able to take advantage of a loophole because there wasn't a rule in place for someone that fit his criteria. With Charles Bediako, he has nothing in common with James Najee. He has nothing in common with some of these other guys, these European prospects who are coming over and played in a club league or whatever. He has nothing in common with any of those guys. I'm glad that, we've been saying for a long time now, like, you have to draw the line somewhere. And whenever that, what was the kid's name, Curtis, that was trying to come, Trenton Flowers or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. We felt like that was one where we're like, hey, you should draw the line here. The NCAA drew the line. We felt like Charles Bediako, you should draw the line here. They drew the line there. Now, will this just be a foregone conclusion where no one ever tries to do something like this again? I don't know, but I'm glad that we've at least had some semblance of like, there is a line. Here's where it's at.
Is the Amari Bailey kid going to go to his Grand Canyon visit now? The guy who's played in NBA games, or is he just going to read the writing on the wall. Like, I hope that we don't have guys challenging this every day. Anyway.
Well, I hope that some of these guys, like I hope Amari Bailey, I hope some of these G League guys, I hope some of these guys who have played in NBA games will then listen, stop listening to Uncle Cletus, who's telling you that you can go back to college and play and you're going to make all this money in NIL. Like, pay attention to the people in your circle who are trying to lead you down an incorrect path.
Yeah, because if you're looking at Bediako, he played in 5 games for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama went 3-2 in those games. They won at Auburn, Texas A&M. They won at Florida. They got smoked, but then they beat Missouri handedly, and then they lost to Tennessee. In those games, he had 12 points, 5 points, 6 points, 14 points, 13 points, respectively. And so now it kind of becomes the question, which you alluded to, Curtis, that I know a lot of Auburn fans, which we'll hear from in here in just a second. But like, how should this be handled? Because if I'm a fan, like I'm looking at it from a Razorback perspective, and I know my friends and how they would look at it, it's like you'd be outraged. Like if Arkansas on Saturday lost to Alabama, and especially if Bediako had a game, like you would want justice. You'd be like, no, see this just because of a loophole, you got a chance to play this and you made a difference. Like in that Auburn game, he had 12 points, 3 rebounds, and a steal. Like that's in 22 minutes of play. That's a difference maker. And like, I would demand some sort of justice on this. I don't think it's going to happen, but should it happen in the fact that now that he can't play anymore for these teams that, and same with A&M, maybe they could have won. Don't really know, but it's one of those things that just, there's no precedent for it. But man, I'd be very, very upset if I was a fan of any of those teams.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And that was the other part of this is some of these other guys who've, like the Najee dude at Baylor has been a complete non-factor. Bediako legitimately helped them. And now they won some games and lost some games there, but they're not going to be able to go back off of a court ruling that allowed this dude to play for a while and force them to forfeit all those games. They can't do that. But like I saw from Rothstein last night, he tweeted about it and he said the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee will evaluate Alabama for the 2026 NCAA tournament by the roster that is available for March Madness per an NCAA official. So are they just not going to look at those 5 games there? Because that's crazy. You took on some water there. You had some of your better wins there. But on the flip side, then you can't look at the Alabama game for those 5 opponents, right? If you're A&M and you took that loss or Auburn or whatever. But at the same token, what about Tennessee who went in there and kicked their ass? Do they not get credit for that now? Are they not going to look at that? What about Florida who beat them by 100? In that situation, they're not going to be evaluated for that game. I don't know, man. It's a weird situation. I know there's been like AP voters who have punished Alabama. Like, hey, I'm not voting for these guys on my poll because this is crazy. What is this going to look like really for the selection committee? Because like 5 games when you're evaluating an entire season, but like 5 league games, most of those are like quad 1 type games. That stuff's important, man. It matters.
For sure it matters. And I'm happy to hear that the tournament committee, which we kind of knew would be the case, that the tournament committee will take this into account. Now, like you were saying, it's not just that simple of like, okay, so those games don't count. But I do think for a team like Auburn, let's say that Auburn ends up kind of in that 7-8 seed range. I think it's one of those things where like, I'm not saying you can now retroactively give them credit and say, oh, they beat Alabama, but it's like, I certainly I wouldn't use that as like, oh, they missed an opportunity against Alabama. Like I would not use that against them. And so I think it should give, even if it's just a minuscule bump, I think it should give a minuscule bump to Auburn. I think Tennessee, frankly, that win is just going to age well no matter what. I think it should be regarded that way. You look at Bama, they're currently number 23 in net, right above Arkansas. They're right neck and neck with Arkansas. I think the NCAA tournament committee should look at Bama and Arkansas and say, if these 2 teams end up anywhere near each other in the metrics, whether that's net, KenPom, BPI, API, Pythagorean theorem, whatever, you have to evaluate it that way and say, all right, if they're the same right now with all those games being accounted in, we can't view Alabama as higher than Arkansas in real life. And so I hope that some of these conversations are being had, and that's something that I think they're going to have to figure out but before Selection Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll have a chance to hear from our friend Quinn. He had some thoughts on this, and we'll do that in a second. But want to remind everybody that Hickey and Hole Law is the official law firm of us here at Inside Arkansas, because you know that if you ever need any help with the legal advice that you'll need, and going through the courts, it's just a lot of stuff that you can't just sit there and say, well, I watched Law and Order once, so therefore I know what's going on. No, that's not how it works. You need the professionals. You need the best in the business to help you out and guide you through the entire process, and that's what Hickey and Hole Law does for you. It doesn't matter if it's divorce and custody cases, with criminal cases, civil litigation cases, they do it all. They truly do it all, and they're always going to be in full communication with you and let you know each and every step of the way to help you out and make sure that you're getting that representation you deserve. So they have offices across the entire state of Arkansas. So it doesn't matter what area you live in. It's just Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Little Rock, Mena. That's where their offices are at. But you can always give them a call at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. You can also check out their website at hickeyandhole.com. Scan that QR code on your screen as well. It's Hickey and Hole Law. Things are about to get better. Okay, so Quinn, our guy Quinn, we all know we love Quinn. He's very opinionated on things, especially as we talked about last week and heading into the Auburn-Alabama game. How he felt about that situation, and how a lot of Auburn fans even felt like they're going to make sure that he plays in that Auburn game. They're not going to come up with anything. And, nailed it. He played a significant role. Alabama ended up getting the victory. Well, Quinn was nice enough to give us his thoughts, but it wasn't just in super chat form like he normally does. He actually sent me a little bit of just an audio rant of how he felt about it. And so I felt like it was best to be shared here on the chat. And I'll admit, folks, I had to edit this a little bit just for intents and purposes. And if you're driving in the car, or if you have a small child next to you, maybe just have them do the earmuffs like they do from old school, do something like that. But I just want to go ahead and play it. Here's just Quinn and how he felt about everything that happened from yesterday's ruling and that game against Alabama, and just how he feels about it overall.
Bullshit. The Bediako situation. Nate Oates is a worthless piece of shit. Doug Shows is a worthless piece of shit. He should never be allowed to ref another Auburn game again. He fucking hates Auburn. The result should be overturned. The winner should be Auburn 92, piece of shit Bammer 84. Bediako had 12 points. It's not fair. This ruling should have been put down Friday, but since it's a Bammer corrupt judge in corrupt Tuscaloosa County, that county piece of shit county, now it's clear to everybody. Alabama is as corrupt. The University of Alabama is as corrupt as they come. If they had their way decades ago, Auburn wouldn't even exist. They tried tearing Auburn down because they knew Auburn would be a threat, and Auburn's now the superior academic institution in the state, and they can't stand that. Bammer is really the younger brother of the state, and yeah, they're full of pieces of shit. Nate Oates is one of the biggest scumbags in the U.S. He's a piece of shit motherfucker. I was with my aunt at the game, so I had to not cuss. You want to know how hard that was for me? Luckily, we weren't courtside, or else that would have been worse. Like I said, fuck Bammer, fuck Nate Oates, fuck Doug Shows, piece of shit-ass motherfucker. Fuck that judge, fuck the NCAA, fuck them all. These pieces of motherfucking shit.
So it was good to hear from Quinn and his full thoughts on everything. So just wow, I think he summed it up. I think he illustrated the diversity of the words of some of the things that he said. So there you have it. If you guys want to know what Quinn, our residential Auburn fan, felt, I feel like he speaks for a lot of Auburn fans and how they truly felt.
He's done that bit with us a lot about, Bama being corrupt and, the stuff with Auburn, everything that he kind of mentioned there. And a lot of, sometimes I'll push back with him, playfully, and just like, oh, come on, man. Like, everybody deals with that. We get it. Like, Bama gets some preferential treatment, whatever. It's not special to you, but there's no escaping, the feelings that he's having after that game. And you're right. I'm sure a lot of Auburn fans feel that way. Again, like if I was Luke, our resident Texas A&M fan, I'd feel that way right now. I don't even remember who else it was that they beat, but it's a crazy situation. It should have never happened. It shouldn't have come down to, can they make this decision by end of business on Friday, or if it's going to be, go through the weekend and let him play on Saturday. This should have never been a thing at all, but it was. And because of what was it, an extension, and then also snow or ice or whatever, like it got drug out even further. Just a mess, man. You didn't have to have people present for this. You could just have, reasonable minds come together on a Zoom call or something to be able to figure this thing out, but they couldn't do it. And now you have clearly pissed off a lot of people.
Yeah. And listen, do I think that they actually, like purposely were like, hey, let's make sure he can play in this Auburn game? Maybe not, but it doesn't help whenever we all knew what the result was going to be. The NCAA had already declared him ineligible. Everyone with a brain already knew that this was a complete farce of a situation. So it's like, it felt like whenever that ruling was going to happen, we all knew that would be the end of it. And so it's like pushing that ruling back as far as you can, I think is morally dishonest. I think it's just, I mean, I hate to agree, but it's scumbag behavior. It really is. And I just think everybody in that Alabama program has to be looking in the mirror and feel really stupid right now. Like if you're Nate Oates, how do you even go face your team and look at them in the eyes and be like, no, you are my guys. I love you guys. You're my squad. We're a family here. When it's like you just brought in some random old guy to come and play, and he took minutes away from people on the team for 5 games. And had normal people with brains not stepped in and put it into it, you would have been perfectly fine to do that. So I think Nate Oates, I'm sure he'll talk his way out of it because that's what he does. But it's like, I think he had to have lost a lot of respect and leverage from his squad, from his locker room. And Bama wasn't playing great before the Charles Bediako thing. They played fine with him, got a couple much needed wins. I mean, think about if they hadn't beat Auburn. Think about if they hadn't beat A&M. They were 3-2. They could have very easily went 1-4 during this stretch. And by the way, I'm not saying, Bama's going to miss the tournament. They're 23 in net right now. Let's say that they stumble down the stretch and they end up in the 36 to 40 range of net. It is extremely possible the NCAA tournament does not let them in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, because we all know about this. We all feel the way we feel about it, and we know they're going to rule it. They're going to kind of take that into account. We've mentioned that people don't put them in the top 25. I'm not saying Bama's going to miss the tournament, but if they lose some games down the stretch, if there's even a case to be made that they're not a tournament team, I think the committee can very much look at those games and say, hey, 2 of your best wins, A&M and Auburn, happen with a guy that's no longer in your roster. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I actually do think Bama could miss the NCAA tournament.
Well, it's funny because I was looking at their schedule and, they needed them for that 5-game stretch because here's the rest of their schedule. I'm not saying it's easy, nothing but wins, but they got Ole Miss coming up on the road. They have South Carolina. They get Arkansas at home, which Arkansas, guys, is their toughest game left. They get Arkansas at home. They go to LSU, Mississippi State at home. To Tennessee is tough. Even to Georgia, whatever. And then Auburn at home. But the thing is like, that's a very easy to navigate, like as far as wins and losses. Like you'll win more than you lose in that stretch, which could be enough to set you aside. Where to your point, Andrew, if they had lost those other 2 games that arguably you could say they had, that could put them in a really tough situation where they're 6-4 in SEC play right now. They lose those, you flip it at 4-6.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Right now
changes it all.
Right now, where Bama stands, they are not in a position where you look at their resume and say, if they didn't beat Auburn and they didn't beat A&M, they would not be in the NCAA tournament. They're not there right now. But if you lose to Arkansas, you lose to Georgia, you lose to Tennessee, you end up with no real signature wins down the stretch. Like they could definitely teeter on the brink of that territory. And I don't think the NCAA tournament committee is going to give them like a ton of leverage and a ton of passes in this situation.
Well, and different committees, different sports, but they left Florida State out of the college football playoff a couple years ago, right? For the quarterback. Yeah. And so it's like, it's a guy you don't have. It's like, I kind of understand where they're coming from on what they're saying about like, we have to evaluate them based on the team that they're going to have for the tournament. But I don't know. I just don't know what you do for those games. And as irritated as I am about the Alabama factor of this all, it's just like that's a seed line changing thing for Auburn. And for Texas A&M, that's a major difference there. You get that road win, that's a massive one right there. They're still I guess they would still be tied virtually for the SEC lead. It's just the trickle down impacts a lot of teams and a lot of, coaches who are, coaching for jobs and everything like that. It's crazy, man.
I wonder if there'll be any discipline for the program and Nate Oates. Like, I wonder if there will be some type of fine, some type of something. Cause Greg Sankey has to be livid at those dudes.
I bet he is, because he sent in that letter or whatever it was, that statement, but I don't think they can.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
Because of the TRO, it's like that prohibits you from being able to take action against that ruling. But my God.
I think that this might be one of those deals like Greg Sankey, you hear companies and teams do it, handle internally. This might be one of those like handle internally type of things of being like, okay, you pulled this stuff. You were an embarrassment. You embarrassed the conference. So this is some sort of thing that we're going to do against you or whatever. Like it needs to happen, because I don't know if like what's going to be said, but tonight, is it tonight? When it was, tomorrow night when Alabama plays Ole Miss, Nate Oates is going to get asked about it. And I can't wait to see. Just disappointed. I felt like he was a young man that really needed his education, but we're going to honor. I think they said they were going to honor a scholarship and make sure he stays there. Yeah, because that's what it was all about, my man.
I'm sure he's attending those classes down the stretch here.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, he's got to go there for knitting class and racquetball. Yeah. So is Nate Oates the most unlikable coach in all college sports? I'm honestly asking. I think he might, and I think he might take the crown. And of all college sports, is he the most unlikable coach?
There's got to be a football coach, right? That's like worse. But
that's what I'm trying to think.
He's
up there. He's on the Mount Rushmore, man.
The thing is with Nate Oates is like, and he is a good, like a very, very good basketball coach
for sure.
So like that's his redeeming quality. But like most of the guys that are polarizing at least have some type of redeeming quality. Like even Lane Kiffin is funny, and we all kind of agree. Like, hey, he's a troll that likes to give it back, and he's also a pretty good coach. I don't really know if Nate Oates has ever had the redeeming moment where people are like, you know what, he actually was a good guy in this situation.
Yeah, I don't know if he ever has had that or not. Because again, there's ones, because you don't really necessarily hate the coaches that are really bad. Like if they're not good at coaching, usually they don't have a lot of hate gone their way. But I don't know. It's just as far as besides the winning, is it's not like people hate Nate Oates just because he's a good coach. Because there's a lot of people that do. They hate certain coaches because they're just successful all the time and they get tired of it. But I'm like, the reason people don't like him is just stuff that has nothing to do with winning or on the court or anything like that. So anyways, good to hear from you, Quinn. Because we'll get to some of your chats, folks. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Because I actually laughed about this because Caleb just said Inside Arkansas phone lines are now open. You just released that can of worms. Hey, listen, if you want to, I'm scared to even say this, but if you want to send like a DM to me or somebody of you just ranting on a video, let us know and you can have it, and then we'll review it. And if it's good enough to play back, we'll play it back. But if you want to do that, be our guest. Have at it.
And the bar's not very high, as you could tell. So
right.
You're probably going to get some time.
We've been calling for this for so long. Like everyone is always like, accept phone calls, accept videos, accept this. And then we're like, all right, send them. And then nobody sends them. So it's like, what do you want us to do?
Yeah. And again, it doesn't have to be videos. Like if you just sitting there with a selfie, you could it's just audio, because we'll just play the audio. We don't want to dox you or anything like that. So yeah, if you want to do that, be our guest, make it epic. But also to try to keep it at like a minute maximum. We don't need you completely giving us the dictionary here, if that's the case. So let's see.
Quinn gave us the Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, he did. He said he's got a very colorful palette of words. Aston says Quinn versus Nate Oates at Fight House win. We could set that up. We can make that happen with Fight House.
As long as it's verbal and not physical, I think I'll back Quinn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would too.
If it's physical, I don't really want to see it.
Let's see. Our friend Lindsay says, y'all think Pringle will have a second decent game in a row tonight?
I hope so. Lindsay, I hope so. He was okay against LSU last time. He just didn't rebound. I think that was one of those games where, sometimes on a scouting report, a team is like, we're just not really going to pay attention to this dude. Like if we're going to help on a cuff or whatever, we can leave Pringle alone. I think he had like 4 dunks or something, but he only had 2 rebounds. I was really, really encouraged by what we saw from Nick on Saturday. I think he understands that it's time for him to do more and provide more for Arkansas. We just need it with rebounding, honestly, but he has, for literally all of SEC play, been one game, hey, we give me that from Nick Pringle every night, I'll take it. And then the next game, I never want to see Nick Pringle again. We can't take it. So he's due for a stinker if he keeps up that pattern. But at some point, you hope he just gets some consistency in there. He's going to play a lot no matter what. That's just the situation that they're in right now. So hopefully he gets after it on the glass.
I feel like he'll have many of opportunities because they're gonna probably post up against him. Like we'll get to see his post defense at least for 8 or 10 possessions. So he'll have his opportunities to kind of prove his worth.
Well, I was just looking at his stat log this year, and it's just amazing. Hey, 2 of the most convincing performances that Arkansas's had in SEC play over a team is when, shocking, Nick Pringle played probably his best games. Like against South Carolina, he had 15 and 7. Arkansas won by 30. We know against Mississippi State on the road, he had 6 and 11. But even when they dominated Vanderbilt, I mean, he had 8 and 4. So it's like those are the ones that, hey, if he plays well, it usually means a lot of success for Arkansas, especially getting those rebounds. So,
yeah, defensive boards, man. That's all. That's all we need, big fella.
That's right. That's right. Let's see. Also, Ryan just says, "I'm scared for tonight."
We know you are.
Okay.
We know you always are. I will give Ryan. Well, actually, I won't because we already gave Ryan credit for it. A positive, uplifting spirit from Ryan after the Mississippi State game, because we've asked in the past, like, dude, are you ever gonna be happy with anything this team does? He was in good spirits Saturday, so credit to him for that.
There you go. Let's see. Our guy Ozzy says, Curtis, anything to the Ewan's shoulder injury? Announcer last game talked about it over and over again.
Well, he wasn't on the availability reports. Like, it's not anything that was at risk of keeping him out. Yeah, I know anytime you see a dude it's like we kept seeing Nick Pringle with that back brace on every game. He would come out and he'd have it on during warm-ups or halftime. You're like, what's going on here? And then he's right back in the game. They were taking that thing on and off of Ewan the whole second half. Like he would see it. The announcers would say something like, oh, some concern for Arkansas with Malik Ewan and that shoulder. And as they're saying it, he's like taking it off and checking back in. So he's okay. Maybe he got bumped on it or, got tangled up in there in the post or something like that. And they were trying to keep it loose. Like those things can either be like ice packs or they can be hot, and so I'm sure just trying to keep him loose and ready to go. But the only time I saw him favoring it was he took it off. He checked into the game. He immediately made just a terrible play. Like he just tried to force a shot. It was a bad one. He bricked it. Cal was teeing off on him. And then all of a sudden Ewan's like, as he goes over there to the bench and Pringle comes back in for him. And I was like, okay, so he's probably done for the game now. Well, then he checked back in again. So I think he's okay. He needs to get it going a little bit. He was the only guy really that didn't do too much positively for Arkansas in that game Saturday. I felt like the first matchup against LSU, I thought he had an advantage. He seemed to me like a guy that was a double-double candidate for that one. And he had all the opportunities. But if y'all remember, he just missed layup after layup after layup against LSU. And that's not a Malik Ewan thing. He's the guy that gets lazy on defense, but he was like flying around on the rebounds and he was missing open shots. So I'm sure he'll be motivated for this game. Hopefully he's 100% and good to go, but I'm not too worried about that shoulder.
Yeah. Actually, I was looking at the last time Arkansas played LSU. I completely forgot that LSU went 3 of 15 and you still from 3-point land and you still barely beat them. Like it was free throws and getting into the paint was their thing. So
and Arkansas missed like 1 million free throws that game.
7 of 18. So hopefully that's not a thing in this one tonight. Let's see. Trey's asking, should they be allowed in the NCAA tournament? Assuming about Bama. I think we kind of talked about it. But
I mean, they should they be allowed? I guess, especially if like they win games down the stretch and it's clear like, hey, you're an NCAA tournament team whatsoever. But I just feel like if you leave it up to like, if they're even close to the bubble conversation, which they are not currently at, if they're close to the bubble situation, I say no, genuinely. But as it stands right now, they're not really like on one of those should they like I think they'll probably make the tournament and be fine. But I think they can put themselves in a bad spot.
I'm kind of with you, Andrew. There's also a level of maybe you don't even go into it saying, hey, this is how we're going to operate, but it's like basic human nature. If you're comparing Alabama's resume to somebody else, like, okay, well, who's the last 5 seed and who's the first 6 seed, and you're comparing the resumes, they better hope that they're doing a blind resume test, because if they're looking at the names, I feel like people are just going to be compelled to say, yeah, Bama's just not quite on par there. We're going to bump them down a line.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I just see that I don't know. The NCAA screwed up where if they just would have stepped right in from the jump and be like, hey, if you do this, there's going to be some consequences. But it's hard for me to say that, oh, you kick them out of the term after the fact when you could have just stopped them beforehand. Like that would be a bad look for the NCAA. I believe and I agree that it shouldn't have never happened and there should be some consequences, but the NCAA just allowed it to. Like they didn't step in and say anything like that. So it'd be hard for them to, after the fact, after allowing it to happen, then say, oh, wait, actually, no. We don't want this to be a thing. So a few other ones here too. Hey, our guy Kingsley with an update. Said, guess who stood up on my own foot today? This guy. Love to hear that, man. Building back brick by brick. Now I'm ready for another Inside Arkansas banger. Hogs by more than you can write on this sheet of college rule paper.
I like that. Good to hear from Kingsley. He was this is how good of a dude Kingsley is. He's going through what he was going through. He was texting me over the weekend. He knew I was doing the solo dad duty and he was like, hey, you good? Everything okay over there? I was like, oh, we're hanging in there. But good to see you, Kingsley, that you're on the road to recovery, man. And hope you just get better day by day.
He's standing on business. That's what he's doing over there.
Exactly what he's doing.
That's right. That's right. Let's see. Josh says, I'm really late to the party. You guys had a lot of problems going on. Hope all is well. Gentlemen, Curtis, you think Acuff and Oweh are the two front runners for SEC Player of the Year?
I hope all is going well your way. No, not quite. I think they're in the discussion. Oweh in SEC play is he certainly belongs in that discussion. He's been killing it. I think he's averaging over 20 a game since SEC started. He wasn't very good non-conference, but those guys are both in the conversation for sure. I think you've got to add Tommy Houck into there with what Florida's doing right now. He's their best player, and he's doing things on both ends of the floor. He's got to be in there. Keyshawn Hall, part of it's going to be how much does Auburn continue to win, but he's got to be in there. So there's, I would say 4 or 5 guys that are really very much in that mix. You could make an argument for Tyler Tanner. I won't, but somebody could if they wanted to. Trying to think who else. Bama's kind of fading. I think they're losing credibility. Like Phylon would have been a guy, but I'm not seeing that anymore. I guess that's about it. A&M is like a sum of all of its parts. I can't really think of anybody there. Yeah. So yeah, I think we're looking at like 4 or 5 different guys. If you look at the KenPom list, they keep putting Gillespie from Tennessee on there, but he's not even their best player. So I'm not seeing that.
Yeah, I think if Kentucky finishes with, like, let's say they go 13-5 in SEC play, I think Oweh would definitely be like right in that top 3. Same for Arkansas with Acuff. I think that's what's going to determine if Acuff wins the award or not, is if Arkansas wins enough games. But I think Tommy at Florida has to be. I don't know if he has to be, but he would probably be. I thought he would be the front runner based on just watching the league, but it doesn't seem like most people agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is I would say, like, somebody like the guy from Tennessee, he's like, oh, well, he's not the best player. After seeing Herbert Jones win it, like that one year, I'm like, all bets are off.
Quickly.
Yeah. It's like sometimes we've seen players who aren't even the best player on their team end up winning, and none of it makes sense. So it could absolutely happen there too. So a few more here too. Let's see. Derek just says, I danced to the intro full on today. Well, that's good.
There we go.
Hope we didn't hurt yourself. But no, good to see. Dakota says some elite hoops last night in that KU Zona game. Yeah, we talked about that. It was
a great game. It for the first, I don't know, several minutes, like until the first media timeout or whatever, it looked like Arizona was going to just run off and leave those dudes at the Fog, but Kansas figured it out.
Why they? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you want to talk about like at Bud Walton Arena, and you better be 10 points better than Arkansas, like a true home court advantage. It's different at Kansas, man. Was it Bill Self was never lost a big Monday game, and he's lost 23 games in 22 years at home. It's ridiculous, the home court advantage, to the point where you lose a guy like Darren Peterson right before a game like that, and you still find a way to win. And I felt like they were kind of outmatched on the floor, frankly, but they got it done.
Yeah. What's with playing on a Monday night, by the way? Like a game like that on a Monday night, I guess because there's no Monday Night Football.
They've been doing that big Monday thing for a while.
We've been playing on Fridays too.
Yeah, the Big 12 is weird. They don't play that much on Saturdays, but it's like some of them play Fridays, sometimes it's Saturdays, but then they always play on Monday. I don't know. It's a strange deal.
I mean, again, I'm sure there's reasoning behind it, but I was like, dude, for a game like that, play that one on a Saturday. I feel like that would be the way to do it. But again, what do I know when it comes to comes to all of that stuff. So, I tell you what, let's go ahead and get to y'all see the segment. We'll get some other chats there as well. I want to remind everybody, Bet Saracen's number one sports betting app here in the state of Arkansas. It's not even close because they are the best at everything. If you want any of the specials, if you want any of the prop plays, if you want any of the parlays, if you want to do anything when it comes to Razorback basketball, all sports and college basketball, everything, you got to do a Bet Saracen app. And the best deal about it is that with us, you get a very exclusive deal because if you bet $25, you get $250 in free bets just by using Inside AR 250. Here's what you do. You scan that QR code on your screen, or you click the link in the description below. You check that out. It'll send you to download the app. You download the app and you use the code Inside AR 250. Whenever you use that code, folks, again, you get $250 free when you bet $25. It's not a better deal than you're ever going to have than that. So do it right now. If you're feeling the Hogs big tonight against LSU, make it happen right now by downloading the Bet Saracen app. It's Arkansas's #1 sports betting book. A few things here real quick, just some, you want to call them quick hitters or however you want to slice it up or dive into. But I did see a little bit on the baseball side of things, at least, that Arkansas does have some little mock draft action where Gabe Gackle's going number 23 overall to the Cubs, and the Mets are going to hopefully not select Ryder Helfrich at 27th. So this was according to MLB.com. So 2 first-round picks projected for the Razorback baseball team as of this point in time.
Hell yeah.
Chicago Cubs love them some Razorbacks, man.
They do. It's like the New England Patriots in football and then the Chicago Cubs in baseball. Just love drafting some Razorbacks. So
I hate that. I hate it so much. As a Cardinals guy, like you just want to root for your Razorbacks so hard. But man, the Cubs thing is just it's brutal for me. I don't even know what to do. Hopefully by the time they get there, they get traded, moved around a little bit. We can root for them then. But
well, it's just so funny because I feel like the Cardinals never draft Razorbacks. Like I'm sure they have, but it's like Zach Cox is like the only one that comes to mind if I got drafted by the Cardinals.
They draft Tennessee pitchers instead.
Sad.
Yeah, it's interesting because like every team has their like their preferences on stuff. Like there's some like I think it's like the Angels. They like only draft college arms. That's like their thing. Like they had one draft where they drafted like 13 college pitchers. Some teams are just like, hey, we're only drafting high school position players or whatever. So I don't know what the Cardinals prefer or what it is, but they are not picking up what the Arkansas Razorbacks are putting down.
Yeah. Caleb in the chat is right. Like, I mean, they get the Razorbacks before they're Razorbacks. That's what the Cardinals do. Yeah, for sure. Mason Wynn and Tink Hintz. I always forget that Tink Hintz is a part of that equation because he's hurt all the time. He's been like the next big thing for the Cardinals for it feels like 3 years now. And every time he starts getting some buzz, they got to shut him down with a lat or something. So maybe we'll see him at some point. But
yeah, that's why the Cardinals have not been very good recently, is because they're just not drafting the Hogs. I mean, that's their problem. It's what they're missing out on.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mason Wynn, Curtis, I saw something the other day that apparently Mason Wynn almost played a perfect season at shortstop. And I don't know how many errors. I think it was like 2 or 3 that he was charged with. And someone broke it down, and like a couple of them were like, debatable, where it's like you could have given it an infield single, could have gone E3. And so like there's an argument to be made that Mason Wynn played perfect shortstop for the Cardinals last year. Like that's crazy.
It comes from the school of Ozzie Smith, man. That's what they do,
Also too, did you guys see Chad Morris's sit down interview?
Thankfully I did not.
Yeah, I can't say that I did.
I'm just going to play this clip just because I know everyone's tired of it and everything, but I just want to make a point out of it. So here's Chad Morris with a sit-down interview about the process of becoming the OC at Clemson.
Talking about his list and what he was considering, from a coordinator standpoint. And I said, Coach, your list is 1, and that's me. And then we kind of laughed and chuckled. And we really talked for about an hour then. And he said, well, I'll call you back tonight. And he starts talking about Paula. And he says, well, is Paula on board? And I said, well, yeah, Coach, but here she is. You want to talk to her? Here she is. And he's on speaker, and I think Kath is in the background. And he's like, well, you want to come back home? And she made the comment. She said, Coach, I would crawl back to Clemson for you and Kathleen. And, again, like I said, I get a little emotional when we talk about it because that's how special this place is and has been to us and our family.
All right, I'm not going to trap on anybody's wife, but this is the same woman that wouldn't even do a load of laundry in Fayetteville and wouldn't move up here, but yet she's wanting to crawl back over there to Clemson. Like,
I was going to say.
Triggered me, man. I got so mad again.
Couldn't take a private jet to Fayetteville, but yeah, going back to Clemson and Dabo. That I'm actually a little bit more salty about that than I thought I would be. But whatever.
The only thing I can think of is like maybe she was so into Clemson, and maybe they spent 3 years at SMU. Maybe she was just so into Clemson, and it was hard for her to leave it. And then she moved to SMU and got so into that like it was just one step too far. She's like, I can't put my heart out there again. But yeah, that is very interesting because I genuinely, I was trying to think while this clip was playing, I was trying to think of what his wife looks like. I couldn't tell you.
No idea.
Because I don't think I've ever seen her.
Yeah. Well, also too, I think a little bit maybe had to do with the fact that, he's not getting any calls for jobs, and an offensive coordinator at Clemson probably makes some really good money too. So there's a little bit of element of that, I'm sure. True. Yeah, probably helps out there. He's going to make
more money doing this than he was as the assistant receivers coach for G.J. Kinney at Texas State. You think the salary's a little different?
Slightly different. Maybe a little bit of an improvement there. Also, a couple other things too. Let's see. Oh, did you guys know that Sam Darnold actually lost money by winning the Super Bowl?
Oh, how so?
Well, in a roundabout way. Basically, he has of course he won, and you got despite winning the biggest game of the year, he's set to lose $249,000. Here's why. Because of California taxes. As part of winning the Super Bowl, every player in the championship receives a $178,000 bonus, right? Well, apparently it's not as straightforward as it seems because the bonus is classed as regular income, meaning the federal tax will be paid on it. And it's projected that they will take home between $89,000 and $109,000, meaning each player is likely to lose $67,000 in tax. But because Sam Darnold's different, he's a resident there in California, meaning he's set to pay a staggering $249,000 in income tax, which is a $71,000 net loss for helping Seattle win their second Super Bowl. So wow. And even in his bonus, because of taxes and because he's a resident in California, his bonus that he gets for winning the Super Bowl, he loses. So
that's what he gets.
Yeah.
Well, at least for him, he signed like $100 million deal in the offseason, right? So at least he like is up in that top bracket because he is being paid so much. But yeah, that's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Also too, I think there was one other thing I wanted to bring up. Actually, no, we already covered all that stuff. So, but yeah, a lot of things. Remember, folks, we're going to be at Goat Lab Red tonight for a pregame show, Pot at the Palace at 7 p.m. 1214 North Garland Avenue. So come hang out because somebody was asking, is it a watch party? We are watching the game there, but it's not like a live streamed thing during the game. We're going to live stream the pregame show, and then we're going to end that and then just hang out and watch the game. And then, of course, Pot at the Palace post-game show will continue on as is, presented by SARACEN. So
yeah, we had some common sense, and we vetoed any ideas of another road LSU watch party at any establishment. That was my biggest crash out of the year. That's my biggest crash out ever, I think, was that LSU post. I was so mad last year. And that's why we obviously knew that this was coming. We're going to be doing this here. We love going out to Goat Lab Red, but I was very, very happy to hear pregame show and not watch party like the stream, because I was like, this is like a superstitious thing for me at this point.
It took me a long time to realize that was our highest viewed video in terms of Kentucky fans watching it.
Oh yeah.
That post game went crazy. And yeah, that was a tough day there at Old Brothers Meat House.
Whew.
Yep. I'll never forget to so those of you who don't know, like we have analytics and everything about, our audience, which is really cool when we're talking with people about partnering with us. We can show them exactly who's listening, how many people are listening, if they're male or female, their age, what states, but also what city specifically. And my favorite thing was in Q1 of 2025, our number one city, of course, was the city of Little Rock. Number 2 was Fayetteville. Number 3 was Dallas. And number 4 was Lexington. Like just dominant. And it's just like, man, that's when I knew the hate watching was real. It's like we're getting people watching that like crazy, like absolute crazy. So I saw somebody talking about the Sounds of Bomb, which, by the way, bombastic podcast. Yeah. Andrew's got the whole breakdown of the Sounds of Bomb for all of you. So that way, who's got the best, who's got the worst, who can change it, because you can still change it in time, but stuff to work on too.
Well, dude, I was almost late for this show because I started recording at like 11:05 or so. And I was like, there's no way this is going to be an hour-long show because it's just talking about walk-up songs. It's like a 46-minute podcast. So it's like, it was like 11:52. And I was like, oh God, I gotta finish this up. This is tough. But yeah, it was we did the full breakdown, talked about some of the ones that are good, some of the ones. And listen, it's not even necessarily about, because everyone has different tastes in music. I always appreciate the guys that use this as an opportunity to just kind of tell you what they're all about. The Hawaiian kids, they've got the reggae going. They've got those Hawaiian vibes. Ryder Helfrich's got California rappers on his. Cam Kozel's got the duck calls. Like, it's always cool to see the way these different dudes express themselves. And we got some bangers to listen to at Bomb this year, man.
Yeah. In fact, I always wonder has there ever been players, I'm sure there has been, the players are like submit what song they want to the U of A or whoever, and they're like, no, that's not, we're not doing that one. I'd like to know what the list would be of like, if they try to like sneak one in there, not that they'd play even anything like unedited, but just, suggestive type of thing.
Denied.
Can I tell y'all a funny story about this?
Sure.
So when I was in high school, we had a thing called, we had a local church, Calvary Baptist Church. They had like their youth night at one of our games where we were playing a Christian school. And, in a walk-up song, they obviously play the clean version of every song, but even the clean version of songs sometimes don't pick up every word. Like if it's a gross word that's not technically a curse word, the clean version will not bleep that out. There was a word, I'm not going to say the word, but it was it involved a camel. We'll just say that. It involved a camel. And we're playing, and we had a player who his walk-up song was a song called Yuck by Lil Wayne and 2 Chainz, where that word comes in, and it's very late, but there was a pitching change. And so normally your walk-up song plays for 15 seconds. You're cool. There was a pitching change, and they just let the song play. And we've got all these, youth group members of this church here, and that word just blared over the loudspeakers. And one of the funnier moments of my high school life.
Man, it's funny is I think every school had that, because I had it too, where I was a Woodland Junior High cowboy. They don't call them cowboys anymore because it's offensive. But they played the song by Kid Rock, Cowboy. But I forgot, they didn't realize that this was back in the early 2000s where they didn't understand songs needed to be edited. Yeah, they played that one over the loudspeaker. That was quite controversial and everything. But like I said, like what was a Dave Chappelle skit when he talked about Get Low, when they say on the radio, skeet, skeet, skeet. He's like, I can't believe they're saying skeet on the radio. It's like, because when white people find out what it means, they're going to be like, what have we done? It's like, that's because that was a classic thing there too. So, but yeah, no, it'll be fun, man. And I know the sounds of Bomb, hopefully we have some bangers that really take off, because that's something that's always fun to see. And baseball this week, man, down there in Arlington, we're going to be there. So can't wait for that as well. But fellas, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
Come hang out with us tonight. I mean, if you're in Fayetteville and looking for something to do before the game, hang out with us for a while during the game, come out to Goat Lab Red. We'll have a good time out there. Always enjoy it. Cold beers, cheap wings, Razorback basketball. Despite the company that you might be keeping with us, I think it'll be a pretty good time. So come hang out.
Yeah, love that. Come hang out with us. Listen to the Bombastic Podcast. Listen to the Pot at the Palace pregame, postgame, report card tomorrow morning, all of the above. Make sure you're tapped in. We got a lot of stuff going on this week. It's going to be not a Woo Pig weekend, guys. It's going to be a Woo Pig week.
Mm-hmm. Lots of stuff going on. We're going to be on top of it all right here in Inside Arkansas. So be sure to subscribe to us here in Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page, as well as social media. You can follow us on Inside Arkansas. You can also check out our audio podcast wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pot at the Palace, the Bombastic Podcast, or our Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast as well. And that'll do it for us today. For Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson, and intern Cameron, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you tonight at Goat Lab Red starting at 7.